What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be putting some much needed armor that we should have done a long time ago on the Bronco, and that's because I've already started taking damage to the underside of the Bronco. I kind of hit some rock gardens, started banging up against stuff, and I didn't have the proper skid plates that I really should have before heading into that type of obstacle. We're going to be putting on the A-arm skids, we're going to be putting on the lower shock mount skids for the rear shock, as well as the Diff skid. Now, pretty much all of those have taken damage, and I'll take you guys under the Bronco here in a second to see what all that looks like. But almost all of those have taken damage. The reason why I chose the DV8 ones, one is because they have the A-arm skid, which I thought was pretty unique. Two, they're kind of like a sister company to ADD Off-Road, which is a really big company. So DV8's a large company as well. And they also have a finger on the pulse of the community, right? So different skid plates that we need, you know, maybe the front leading trail arm skid, that's something that they're working on. You know, different things, right? We have like a voice with the manufacturer, and they can make it happen pretty quick. So that was why I chose DV8. I've also got my eyes set on some DV8 sliders that are actually like body frame mounted. They also have some new metal fender liners, which give you a little bit more clearance, which is the only thing I rub on with these 37s. And they have a few other cool items on the way. So now we're gonna unbox these, check out the powder coat quality, check out the hardware, maybe some of the instructions. These are brand new, so I might have to figure stuff out on my own, but it should be pretty simple. They're skid plates, so they all bolt on. There's no like welding or anything like that involved. Pretty simple, should be possible with some Milwaukee or hand tools if that's what you got. To show you guys some of the damage I took. This is that leading trailing arm or whatever for the rear trailing arm. You can see I got a nice ding and bend in that, hit that on a rock. You can see some scrapes along here. If I can get the lighting right, you can see that that took a little bit of a beating. Starting to come off actually pretty dang sharp. Probably shouldn't do that. The rear diff took a little bit of love as well. We've got some scrapes there, which are starting to oxidize. We also have some scrapes along here, if you guys can see that. We also have it on that side. If the lighting wasn't so bright, you can hopefully see. Up here, you can see that this arm took some love as well. So we did have some scrapes there. This isn't necessarily going to be fixed today, but it could be something in the future that they're working on to protect that up. And then here is the front control arm, the lower A arm, so to speak. But you can see how low these bolts are. My other side actually took a little bit of love. It actually has a little scrape on it. But these sit really low, so if you're coming in off a rock and let's say you're on top of it and it rolls out underneath and slips to the side, this is going to take a hit. So we have those skid plates for the A-arms, which will protect all of this as well. So let's go ahead and start unboxing and check out the parts we got. Now, although these are skid plates and they're meant to be used and abused, I do want to note how good the packaging is. Like, this is not just bubble wrap, this is like some nice, like high density foam, I guess. But yeah, this thing is also hefty. It is going to add some weight to the vehicle, but I'd rather have a little bit of weight and sacrifice that for the protection, also for my wallet, right? I don't want to break anything way more expensive than just a steel skid plate that was black and now has a few marks on it. Here are the skid plates as well as the hardware. Seems very simple. It looks like it just clamps around the A-arm. It looks like 2 bolts probably per. But this steel, you can see the thickness here. Very nice. The welds look good. Again, you're not going to see most of this, but you also will have it on there so that we see the DV8 logo, which I think is a nice little touch. So it should be a pretty simple install here. I think we just clamp it on. Maybe I'll order or look online. It did not come with instructions in the box, but these days everything is like PDF on the website. So I'm going to go check the website, look for the instructions, but just to make sure I'm going to put this on the right way. But I believe the DV8 goes right up front, and then you just clamp it on. So to do this job, you actually will be removing these 2 nuts down here, because what the skid plate will do is recess those nuts. Then we'll retighten those down to the factory torque settings for the lower shock, which are 93 foot-pounds. If you have different shocks, it might be different, but that's the stock setup. Now that we have those little nuts off, we're gonna go ahead and bolt this through, which there are holes that it automatically aligns to. And you can see it kind of hugs the A-arm as well. There's the holes. So now we'll go ahead and put, this might be a little difficult because I have different hardware and holding it, but we're gonna go ahead and put the nuts on here and screw everything on. Help me in my install because I am one person here. I just kind of put these, the washers and the bolt through to kind of hang on the A-arm here on the front and back. And then I went ahead and put in the lower bolts. So right now everything's just hand tight. There's not even a nut on the other side of this bolt. I just have it threaded through, like I said, so it's holding. I should probably just put on a washer and the nut on this side just before, but everything is pretty much just hanging now, and we're gonna tighten everything up to the factory torque specs. This is, you know, just to get it hand tight. You don't wanna snap this. It is just a 5 Allen, so you don't need a whole bunch of torque, but mainly your lower shock bolts through these holes are the main pieces that are holding this on. But as you can see from here, whenever you're hitting rocks or anything, it's now just a big plate of steel rather than those bolt heads hanging low and being susceptible to getting sheared off. Because if that happens on the trail, you're gonna have a lot of rattles and squeaks on the way home because you're not gonna have a nut at the end of the shock bolt. Next, we're gonna move to the back, which you can see those lower shock mounts. We're gonna put on those skids. You can see that's one of the lowest points on the back end. And then we have the Diff skid, which will also hit that middle point, which when you're high centered or you have to clear a rock in the middle, that's gonna give you the most clearance right there. So we're gonna protect those two lower hanging pieces in the next little install. Again, these things came wrapped in some nice foam. You can see the quality of the steel there and the welds. No hardware included because you actually sandwich the factory hardware, and that's how this is kind of held on. It's sandwiched between the factory hardware, I should say. But you can see the welds are nice and strong. Again, I think this stuff's gonna handle skids and rolling over rocks and stuff like that super easily. The DV8 logo will go forward. I think that's the way that they have all of these. So we're gonna go ahead and start putting these on. You probably will need a high torque impact gun or something like that. The lower shock bolt is to be torqued at 350 foot-pounds. So be sure you have the right equipment to do that. You won't have to remove them completely. You'll just loosen them enough to give you room to wedge between to hold things in place. But other than that, you actually won't have to remove anything. It'll just be sandwiched in place and then retightened. So this should be pretty quick as long as you have the proper tools. And if not, make sure you get a torque wrench and some breaker bars because that lower shock bolt is on there pretty dang tight. All right, so now that we've gotten everything loosened up with the right gaps, we should be able to massage this on in and bolt it up. Just like so. Get a little hand mallet there and popped right in. So now you want to wedge these in and tighten everything up. Again, 350 foot-pounds here, like 120 right here. And yeah, you can hear I'm out of breath. It's definitely tougher, but not impossible. You just got to massage and kind of hammer it through, but make sure you have enough gap. Obviously the thickness of the steel here to go in between those bolts. It will need some massaging, I think, with a hammer to make that happen smoothly. Next, what I'll go ahead and do is set up the torque wrench. We'll go ahead and torque those down properly and make sure that we're ready to go for a pretty critical part there, the shock mount. Don't want to have that loosey-goosey when you're trail riding. There we go, torqued up. Different than the other pieces, this has like that expanding foam, which was similar to what I got whenever I got the Whipple. So this stuff is probably gonna be ultra protected. I'm gonna need 2 hands to pull it out. Not only was this piece covered with all of that foam, obviously in the box, but it was also covered by our new favorite, this high density foam. And you can see here the thickness of the steel, right? This is a little bit thicker than maybe some of the edges here, the little branding of DV8 there. I guess if you wanted to, you could always pop off this plate. It looks like it's, you know, double-sided taped or something. You can always paint match that if that's part of your build. But yeah, this thing is gonna be super beefy. This is gonna be where we ride on. It's nice and smooth, no sharp edges for the rocks to hit on. But yeah, this thing's gonna be perfect. And you can also see the hardware here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this and record along the way to help you guys out. Here we are on the back side, and I went ahead and took out these two that are gonna come out on the Diff. These are 10 mils. But the next step is to place these brackets in on the front side, which will be mounted up. The difference though is I think on mine, which is a 2022 model year, I have the rear sway bar. So it's up there, you can maybe see, but this little bracket right here I think it's supposed to be empty on most models, but I have a rear sway bar because I have a 2022. So I'm gonna figure out how to make this work with the rear sway bar. I may just not use their brackets and then just actually screw through here. But I just wanna make sure and double check the steps here. But I believe that is what we're going to be ending up mounting through, is using the sway bar bracket and hardware. Alrighty y'all, so here's my decision. I just did some research here, and it is an update on the 2022 model year. I remember kind of skimming the Bronco forums and reading about that. And so mine does have it, I just confirmed it. The Diff skid cover is not necessarily made for those that already have the OEM rear sway bar. However, because of the model year 2021 cars, or Bronco SUVs, cars, whatever, because they didn't come with them, I'm gonna go ahead and remove mine, and I would rather have a skid plate than a rear sway bar. Also, the rear sway bar would affect my rear articulation, which for me in off-roading, I think is really important. This is not my car that I bomb turns with. That's that car right there. So I really would rather have more performance off-road and camping and overlanding, which is what I'm preparing this thing for, rather than just having a little bit more stability and turns on the freeway or off ramps. I don't bomb turns like that. I am on 37s with nice squishy sidewalls, so this just isn't the vehicle for that. I will note and give you guys any feedback if anything changes, like in the drivability or anything that I notice, but I'm gonna go ahead and knock it out and remove my rear factory sway bar and opt for the skid plate instead, because I'd rather have that protection, especially because differentials are not cheap. I've got the end links unbolted, and I have the jack over there on the frame lifting, so that way we can get a little bit more droop, because trying to fish this through here, I'm underneath the vehicle with no jack stands, but it is still on its tires and stuff, and I know I can fit under here if it were to drop. Now it's gonna be trying to snake this through, hopefully with a little bit of extra room now because of lifting it up in the air. We should be able to snake it out without having to cut the sway bar in case someone ever did want this thing. So we did get it out. You can see the jack is over there, and let me angle up a little bit. We can see the jack's up there. I pretty much maxed out the height of that jack, but again, I'm on the tires and I know I can fit under here if it were to drop. Might hurt a little bit, but it wouldn't crush me to death, right? So I got that out. You have to snake it, just keep playing with it. It's basically a mind game, but just know with it, you know, lift it up and pretty much it droop on one side, I was able to get it out. So now I can remove all of the hardware from it, and we should be able to install the Diff skid plate. Go ahead and put these brackets on that they have. We'll kind of hold those in place. Apparently they just go back behind here where your sway bar was, and then there's little tabs that actually hold them in place. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those in, which will be an additional mounting spot. I'm just doing it on the other side now as well. Obviously you want the threads on the back side, and yeah, that's as simple as that. Now using the supplied M8 hardware, which is going to be lock washer, then flat washer, 13 mil caps here, we're going to hold this up into place, and we're going to loosely start to thread in some of the hardware, so that way everything can kind of hold up in the air rather than me trying to hold it with my hand here. So I'm going to do everything, just start it by hand, get these wires cleared, try to get on the other side of them, I guess, just like so. Now we've got everything nice and protected. We got the lower shock skids there, we got the Diff skid, we also have this lower shock skid, as well as the A-frame or A-arm skids up front. So now this is everything currently that DV8 offers. There is more on the way that I've been kind of rumored hearing, so I will probably be picking that stuff up, but so far everything looks great, and I can't wait to test it. And just like that, we have everything all buttoned up, everything's cleaned up in the garage. I just gotta go clean my hands, but I did just get delivery of my ButcherBox, which I don't know if you guys have ever used ButcherBox, but it's like a meat delivery service. Ashley and I have been big fans of it for like the past few months. We've been buying all of our meat basically through ButcherBox. So I just got one of those, and I wanna open it and show you guys what you get. I found out about it from Joe Rogan, but I'm gonna leave a link down below because they are an affiliate. So if you guys wanted to help out the channel, I already use this stuff, and I figured most of my audience are probably meat eaters, but we're gonna cook some of this stuff in our recent, or our upcoming, not recent, but our upcoming camping trip. So I'll throw some clips in of that as well. Ashley's really the chef on that. But we get all of our meat basically from ButcherBox. So let me show you what we have upstairs. I'm gonna have Ashley, my lovely assistant here, open up the ButcherBox for us. She always gets really excited about, you know, what's inside, because it's a little bit of a, you know you're gonna get like chicken and things like that, but we do get some special stuff.
Haven't tried these before.
Yeah, we've actually never had these. So this is a prosciutto, salami, and a capicola? I don't know. But the big thing that Ashley's really good, or like really into, is like grass-fed, like free range, things like that. Because, you know, I don't know all the benefits. She knows all the benefits. I just know that I feel a lot better whenever I eat the way that she does and the things that she cooks. So we got some salami and like some deli meats, it looks like.
Prosciutto.
What else we got?
Charcuterie board. Got some bacon.
Got some
cured bacon, applewood smoked.
That's for sure coming with us to camp.
Oh, we have two.
Ooh, that one's nice. Tender belly.
This is thick.
That is super thick.
Wow, this is the one going camping. We haven't tried this one before. Actually,
Okay.
we haven't tried either one of these, but I bet you they're both great. They're
Yeah.
both thick cut too, but this looks a little thicker and darker for some reason.
Which one's going to camp?
I think I want to take this one to camp. I'm really excited about this. We've had these before, the strip loin steaks, a couple of those.
Nice.
These are really good.
Everything comes frozen, by the way, you
Oh,
guys.
my favorite.
Oh, she got
my
the whole
favorite.
chicken.
I love to get a whole chicken because I like to utilize the bones too and make bone broth, which is pretty cool. It's a 4-pound chicken. Very cool. Chicken breast, what it usually comes.
Yeah, we almost always get chicken breast, which is always good. Because you know how many dishes nowadays are chicken breasts.
Or just chicken.
Just
Chicken's
chicken
good
in
to
general.
have.
And
Breast is like the least controversial for your picky eaters.
we got what?
And then this is the ribeye steaks.
Nice.
We haven't had these in a little while. It's a big one.
Yeah, that is a good one. Sweet. So we got a good little haul here. Like I said, you guys, we are ButcherBox users, so this isn't like our first one. We actually do use this stuff. I'll have the link down in the description below if you guys want to sign up and try it out.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, Ashley just said she highly recommends, if you guys didn't hear that. But it helps out the channel. It helps us out to be able to go camping and work on the Bronco and things like that, which I know you guys like to see the things and test the parts with us. So yeah, that's kind of how you guys can help the channel. And it also is really awesome to have ButcherBox. Got those skid plates installed and we're out here camping. I don't have my rooftop tent yet, so that's something that we definitely want to get on here. So we just have a ground tent off to the side. But this place is pretty sweet. I've gone here before with like the Bronco group, and we decided to come back out here because, well, you have a nice little lake access. It's more like a pond, but you get nice shaded spots here, and yeah, it's pretty secluded. I have the dog out here. It's just chilling in the shade. But yeah, we're cooking breakfast. We're gonna use that ButcherBox bacon, which is gonna be awesome. Ashley's the chef, so she's got everything prepared here, and we got our griddle with the Coleman stove. And this nice little kitchen table. We've had this for quite a while now, but this kitchen table is pretty sick. Like pre-seasoned or something.
Yeah, they put seasoning on it.
Shoot, I didn't know that. That's cool.
This way, peel it back like that. These are so thick. Actually, will they fit this way? Because if they'll fit this way. Not quite.
Walking over here, it smells so good. Now we've got the griddle heated up so you can listen to sizzle. But yeah, this thing is coming out great. Got my chef right here. Oh, got that on film. Salt down.
Cut it out.
And there we go. Got everything nice and plated. There's our breakfast for today. And we're at the Lost Lake spot. So beautiful little area. We might check out another spot to see if we want to move. But first, we got to have some breakfast. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up right here. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys next time.